Again, don't expect the CEOs to be in your comments. They are going to be watching and waiting until when they're ready to make a decision. And then you're the top of mind. You're the one that they go to because they trust you, because they've been consuming your content. They've been seeing how you interact and how you comport yourself on social media and how you interact with other people. Yes, it absolutely makes a difference. And it's hard to track sometimes, and it's hard to stay the course and be consistent with this kind of activity. But absolutely, as a content creator on social media, that is a massive piece of social selling if you're a subject matter expert.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Marketing Blender Show. I'm Dacia Coffee.
And I'm Daisy McCarty.
Now today we are talking the do's and don'ts of social selling. And I have got a special treat for you because literally Daisy is the best social selling expert I've ever met. Yes, I'm biased, but actually it's why she has the networks and the relationships that she does. And you really embody a heart of servant leadership in social selling, which I think really that's what it's about, because social media is social. It's the social part that's important, and the selling happens naturally when you do it well. So I think do's and don'ts are perfect, and I'm super excited to get to share this with them, with you leading it, because you've really helped activate not only in your personal career and our organization, but also for a number of clients, some very exciting sales and marketing alignment because of this social selling component. So where do we start? Let's start with what is social selling and what is it not, since we're doing do's and don'ts.
Sure. So the first do is, of course, do understand what social selling is. It is not using social platforms as a channel to sell to people. Social media advertising, that's absolutely what you're doing. But social selling, where it's about the one-on-one engagement, that's about engaging with people socially and providing value, being authentic, and being there for them to share when they're ready for you to sell to them. So they'll be the ones that bring to you, okay, I'm having this issue. I know you talk about this all the time on your LinkedIn posts. I read your article. I saw your YouTube stuff. This seems like the kind of thing that you do. So it's about making yourself available, being intentional, and serving versus selling.
Okay, you just said something so important there. Well, so many things, but kind of the hidden nugget there is it's not just about direct messages or DMs. So sure, that's a component, that's fine, but it is about what you post. I also think it's about what you comment on other people's platforms. And so literally engaging in the platform, celebrating other things, especially when it aligns with what you believe, sharing other amazing content. And yes, we want to talk about our product, our offering, right? And our expertise, but talk about your philosophy. Talk about your passions. Talk about being human. Talk about values that you celebrate and lift other people up on social media, because that authenticity and that realness is what makes somebody approachable and makes them go, you know what? I feel confident enough in this person and how she conducts herself on social media to reach out and to connect and ask a question and maybe just tiptoe my way into exploring whether or not, this might be a service or a product that I need. So it's the whole engagement of the social platform and deciding to be a part of the community.
And direct messaging does have a place, and we'll talk about that as we go through the do's and don'ts. But you're absolutely right. You're putting yourself out there on social. And this is a true confession. I hate doing social media. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. So it's actually easier for me to look at it from the perspective of, I'm doing this for other people. I'm not doing it for me. I get nothing out of it. Thank you for all your likes and your comments and your shares. It does nothing for me emotionally. It does something for me when people can say, you shared something that changed the way I do business. That has an impact for me. So that's why I'm on social media. That's why I do social selling the way that I do. And it's actually why people don't call me a spammer. They don't get upset with me. They don't block me. They don't tune me out. They'll engage with me. I have fantastic conversations and direct messages every day on LinkedIn because I'm there to serve. So Second one is a don't, and it's don't assume that your people or your buyers are not on social media. We hear this in B2B all the time. Well, the people I sell to, they're not on social media. So they don't have a phone, they don't have an internet connection, they don't have anything that they care about, that they talk about, they don't communicate digitally at all. Mm-hmm. Of course, there's some place that they're on social media. Mm-hmm. It might not be on LinkedIn, it might be somewhere else, but they are somewhere.
Yes.
And you can get in front of them where they are.
Yes. I mean, CEOs are a great example. They don't necessarily like things, they definitely don't comment on things, but while they read it, and while they will, stalk and make sure that you're real, and they will investigate. And what I've seen is, especially aggressively growing CEOs are constantly consuming information, and social media is a perfect place for that. One of our joint clients, I will never forget. I mean, he oversees tons of mergers and acquisitions. They're on the path to $500 million, just huge company, busy man, amazing organization, definitely thinking, oh, he's never on the socials. Yeah, actually he is. And I will never forget that moment where when we were first engaging, he had said, yeah, I've read all of your articles. I've seen what your company publishes. And I was floored. So to your point, back in the day, I was doing it in order to serve and build our brand reputation. And maybe wasn't as big of a believer. And this was even before social media had gotten significant momentum, especially in the B2B world. And I have found that to be true. He was not an outlier. That has been so consistent, where people are consuming content all the time to make sure that they're relevant, to make sure they know what their competitors are doing, to make sure. So I could not agree more. You do have to be thoughtful about what platforms you're on and whether that aligns with your ideal buyer personas. However, most people are on social media. And let me just argue, YouTube's a social media. Can we go ahead and say that? Like, that's how we classify it.
Again, don't expect the CEOs to be in your comments. They are going to be watching and waiting until when they're ready to make a decision. And then you're the top of mind. You're the one that they go to because they trust you, because they've been consuming your content. They've been seeing how you interact and how you comport yourself on social media and how you interact with other people. Yes, it absolutely makes a difference. And it's hard to track sometimes, and it's hard to stay the course and be consistent with this kind of activity. But absolutely, as a content creator on social media, that is a massive piece of social selling if you're a subject matter expert.
Yeah. Oh, so you just teed up a perfect segue to the next do. And it's do include social selling in your daily outreach and in your ongoing sales activities. So Daisy nailed it, that it's heavy on the social, light on the selling, where you're supporting, encouraging, and connecting with people. But we want consistent outreach and consistent activity going on here. So talk a little bit about that balance of that consistency and making sure that you're still towing the line.
A lot of times when I talk to sales teams about social selling, they're concerned about how much time is this going to take.
And they should be. That's great. It's a great point.
Salespeople are busy. They've got a ton of stuff on their to-do list. Now, first of all, if you want to actually grow an entire sales pipeline on LinkedIn, you can.
Yes, you can.
And
we both did it early in our marketing careers.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. When I went from sourcing all of my early clients way back in the day off of freelance platforms, and then it was all referrals because I'd built up enough of a client base to do that. Then I decided I was going to do local networking, build a local client base, and then I transitioned into building a pipeline on LinkedIn. And I spent maybe a couple of hours a day on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
In order to do that, to go from I had no clients coming in from LinkedIn to 80% of my client base was coming off of LinkedIn. So if you're serious and you have a large enough target market on LinkedIn that you can reach them, you can absolutely build an entire sales pipeline. And what benefit would that bring to your organization? So any sales team should have at least one person who is doing social selling, because you just can't afford to leave that open for your competitors.
Yeah.
Your competitors are probably going to be doing a horrible job at it, but they're still going to be the only ones that people have heard of through that social selling channel. But I would say, even if you're just spending 30 minutes a day, if you're spending that 30 minutes on doing the right things, that can make an impact with social selling, but it has to be consistent. You have to be doing the outreach activities that actually make a difference. No, you can't just be direct message, connect with people, and then spam them with your, hey, can I sell you this? Everybody knows that that's not how you behave these days. But if you are focusing on, am I connecting with the right people? LinkedIn has definitely throttled that down to a handful of people a day, but you can still view a ton of profiles. You can still, because that encourages people to look at you back.
Yes.
It's like, who is this person? Why are they looking at me? Well-written LinkedIn profile, that makes a difference. And making sure that if you are direct messaging people, that it's about what they want to know about, not about what you want to tell them or what you want to sell them.
Yes, absolutely. You're starting a conversation.
Yes.
So important.
Don't waste your time scrolling through the feed and getting sucked down rabbit holes of other people's content. If you are looking for content to share, look for what your prospects and your clients are posting, comment on that, share that. You don't need to be looking at every single thing that scrolls down your endless feed.
And referral partners and
Absolutely.
influencers. I mean, so valuable. I think one of the things that I want to add to that daily and consistent outreach is have your list. Like you said, avoid the death scroll. Be careful of just getting lost in time, but commit a certain amount of time every day. 15 minutes, an hour and a half, whatever makes sense for where you are in your business and what role you are in your organization. And then have your list of activities that actually drive something valuable for the market and for yourself. So clarifying what that is, and then almost like a checklist to keep you on track, really just making sure that you're working a system, a healthy, fun, exciting system, but something consistent and daily.
Yes, and one thing I would warn salespeople about, there's all that advice back in the day about, well, before you connect with someone on LinkedIn, you should deep dive every single piece of their No, you should
Just
not.
connect.
Just
Just
it's
connect.
Consistency, volume, and your correct messaging approach. So because you can't control if that person's going to log into LinkedIn and see that, or if they're going to decide to connect with you. Make it something you can do consistently, repeatably, and fast.
Yeah.
Aligned with what you know about your target personas as a whole. Unless you're doing account-based marketing, trying to sell into a billion-dollar enterprise, don't think that stalking them on social media and finding out every single thing about each person, where it takes you 30 minutes of research before you connect with one person, don't do that.
Are you a CEO of a business-to-business company? Maybe you're a sales leader or a salesperson, or maybe you're in business-to-business marketing. Well, if so, I wrote a book for you, and it's called Corporate Caffeine. Business-to-business marketing is different, but there are certain predictable fundamental principles that will help you unleash your organizational potential and fill your pipeline sustainably. So you can find my book on Audible, on Amazon, on barnesandnoble.com, or any of your favorite retailers. Hope you enjoy it, and I'd love to hear your feedback. No, and great point. I mean, if you're reaching out to such a small group of people that every single ghost or somebody who doesn't accept your connection is a shot to the heart, you're doing it wrong. And even if you're doing account-based marketing where you are trying to connect with elusive decision makers, connect in their circle, connect in their sphere of influence. Because I will tell you, when people reach out to me and I realize, wow, we have a dozen significant contacts in connection with one another, I'm like, oh, okay, this person, or 100 or however many it is, depending on the size of their following, okay, that's warming me up. And I don't know about you, but how many times have I reached out and gotten other outreaches from people saying, hey, do you know so-and-so? They're trying to connect with me. Great. Good. But the volume, I think, is so important to actually make a difference.
It does. And we talked about this one a little bit, but I just want to reiterate it. Don't connect and pitch. And when I say that, you may look at your outreach follow-up message and say, well, I wasn't pitching them anything. I was just offering to help them. If they have problems with this, this, and this, please give me a call. You're still pitching. Stop doing that. So think about it as if you were at a gathering with family and friends. If you wouldn't go corner somebody at a social event and try to sell them when they're just there trying to have a good time and socialize, don't do that on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. So consider how it comes across. have been gracious enough to give you a minute of their time by connecting with you, by accepting your connection request. What's the thing that you can say that will delight them? If you're asking a question to prompt a response, is it something that they want to talk about? And if not, then it's really a self-serving question and not a serving the other person question.
Absolutely. So the next thing that we've got is do send happy birthdays and congratulations around anniversaries. So while, yes, these are prompted, don't think that they are robotic, because if you take the time to truly just engage in that moment and craft a message where you are really putting their best interests at heart and you're really thinking, what do I want for this person? And you're communicating in authenticity, even in just 6 words or 2 sentences, it's an absolute game changer, and it can and should and does make people feel really wonderful and valued, and you created that halo for yourself and for them. So I love this one, but it can't be just checking the box.
It can't be. So there's a middle ground.
Yeah.
It's not every single person you're crafting a customized message for them.
Right.
And it's not just clicking the happy birthday button.
Yes, right.
It's in the middle, which is I know my buyer persona well enough that I can craft a message, a happy birthday message that will make them feel seen, will make them feel heard. I know exactly what GIF I want to use on that so that it makes them smile, or it gives them an oh moment when they get it. And I get more communication in my inbox from these congratulation messages than I do from anything else.
Yeah.
As an example, if I'm asking somebody about, their work anniversary, my question is going to be around what's the impact you had this year? People tell me all kinds of things. They'll tell me what they did at work. They will tell me the impact they had for their family. They will tell me about, they lost a family member and they were able to be there in a difficult situation. They will tell me about somebody had cancer in their family.
Yes.
They will tell me anything and everything, and
Yeah.
they will engage with me as a human being.
That's right.
In a social way, because I'm not showing up pitching them in their inbox. I'm showing up and saying, I want to know more about you.
Exactly. While I'm not recommending this for everybody, I'm just going to share a story where a similar thing happened. One year, personally, I had decided I'm going to have prayer as more of an ongoing daily practice in my life. And when I came to crafting one of the happy birthday messages, I was like, you know what? I'm going to tie these together and I'm going to pray for people in my network. And so in that message, I literally said, is there anything that I can pray for you about this year? And I meant it authentically. I got that message and I did pray for them. Like, I did put it on the list. I would stop. I would think about them. So, this was something that I committed to personally, but you were not kidding. You just cannot assume what people are going through, and making that decision to be there with those people and respond to those messages. It was just this really enriching, beautiful path. And it was cool. It was so good for my heart. And it just was really wonderful to really connect on a real level inside of this social selling, because it's about human beings, and those are perfect moments to really just celebrate, we're on this journey together. So I think that one's such a good one. Now I'm going to bring up another one as a segue, because we're starting to hover now near automation, right?
Yes.
So having repeatable messages, authentic, repeatable messages is important. But, now we are starting to get to automation. Now, in full transparency, you and I both use automation way, way, way before it hit the masses, and it was amazingly effective. There are loads of spam bots now that I know neither of us are a fan of, because it's just overwhelming. So in this really noisy world, how do we use automation effectively? What do you think the appropriate role is with automation, and where to be careful?
Sure. So the role of automation is to get people into actual human-to-human communication.
Right. Thank you.
It's not a replacement for
Yes.
it. I will say that I have used many tools on certain platforms, and I don't want to get flagged for
right.
anything. I'm
No,
not going to
exactly.
say what, when, where, who, how. But for example, LinkedIn is really good at sniffing out automation, shutting stuff down. I saw them kill off one SaaS company after another. 5 or 6 years ago, they were shutting them down right and left. As soon as somebody could stand up, oh, I've got this, way you can do this, that, and the other thing, LinkedIn would shut it down. Browser plugins, things like that. LinkedIn does not like people using automation in a way that spams people. So there are automation tools. If you want to know more about ones that actually work and that are set up correctly, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me. But it should be done in a way that keeps you out of LinkedIn jail. It should not be something that drops any red flags, and it should always be done in a way that helps people make progress toward their goals. So for example, if you were choosing to use automation to send people direct messages, things like invitations to events, hot topics that they want to hear about, things like that, where you know with a reasonable degree of certainty that this person is going to be excited to get the thing from you, that's the thing that you should send far and wide using tools like automation. If it's just, hey, I want to spam 100,000 people because maybe 5 of them will respond to me, please don't do that. You're just adding to the problem and not adding to the value.
You know, there's some really interesting uses of automation that I do appreciate on other social platforms like Instagram and such, where it's a response to a DM, or it's like exactly like what you said, a really great offer. And it's triggered by appropriate activity and engagement, not just cold spam. And so there's just so many neat things where even though I know that's a bot, I'm like, you know what? That offer, that response was actually exactly in line with their brand, in line with why I follow that person or engage with them. And that was a very cool offer, a very cool download, a very cool something that responded. And so it still felt in integrity with them. And so I absolutely agree where it's just, okay, how do I bring value? How do I know my audience so well and continue to just put value in front of them? Not, like you said, don't pitch.
Right.
Like, don't constantly pitch.
Put yourself on the other side of the equation.
Yeah.
If I was in that position, would this be helpful to me?
Yeah.
If so, we don't care if it's a bot, do we? We like chat bots on the websites if they help us get the thing that we need to do.
Exactly.
So, yes, it's always about putting yourself in the other person's position.
Exactly. Now we're starting, and I think one of the underlying principles that we're talking about as a do is that this really does need to be a part of your overall social strategy. So making sure that it's a component, and if you're using social media to really reach your audience, that it can be an amazing conversion component where it can actually create real conversations, real pipeline, real audiences that eventually do lead to business. But about that intentionality, and I would also add, you can train your team on this. You should have training to do it.
Yes.
And it can be, healthy activity measurements that you even include. But if you think about it from a strategic standpoint and you're thinking, well, how is the buyer engaging? And okay, when we activate social selling, now how does that accelerate or change or support the buyer journey? Very, very exciting results can come from that, but it does have to be strategically aligned.
Speaking of which, I actually have one of my clients, they're dipping their toes into social selling, and they're starting to get consistent about posting on LinkedIn. And one of my clients, his name is John, he's responsible for business development sales. But we also have a social media company that's doing the LinkedIn company page, like the posts under the brand itself.
Yes.
And his question was, when I post a video about something personal or a video or a post about something that's about me and what I'm feeling and all this stuff, I get tons and tons of engagement. And then if I post something about the product that I sell, then I get like nothing from it. So what should I focus more on? I know I'm supposed to be out there selling this product, but it seems like people engage with me more when I do this other kind of content. And I was like, John, the goal of the LinkedIn company page, it's the responsibility of the company page to promote the product. Your goal in social selling is to get people to engage with you as a human being as much as possible. So whatever you have to do to make that happen,
yes,
you can occasionally pull a post from the company page and reshare it.
Yeah.
Because people, they do need to know what it is that you do, or if there's an exciting new thing that you're selling. Yes, but your number one focus needs to be on what gets people to see me as a human being, engage with me as a human being, and be social with me. So when it's time to sell, you're the one that they choose.
Yeah, absolutely. And this applies, we reference LinkedIn a lot because it is B2B, but when we're talking overarching strategy and getting people to engage, it does go back to okay, we have some clients that activate Pinterest. And you should be watching the messages that come through, because especially, for architects and designers and products and that type of space, they're looking for inspiration. Make sure that you're watching the DMs. It's amazing. People will actually ask legitimate, important questions, and you should be engaging. And also, if you're on there personally, you can answer as a human, not just as the company page. Especially for companies that sell to small businesses, they might be on Facebook or Instagram. There are amazing communities over there, the ones that are well monitored. And so that might be a component of your social selling, where you're active inside of those, those closed community groups. There's just so many places. Twitter can be one. Be prepared to be incredibly active and decisive about your communication strategy on X, otherwise known as Twitter. But it again, always looking at buyer personas, overarching strategy, where will real human conversations happen, and then go where your buyers go and do it intentionally.
And from a marketing perspective, if you do have a sales team that's engaging in social selling, you should be putting marketing spend into those same social platforms. So in addition to people in the target marketing getting direct outreach, connection, following content, seeing content from your sales team, they should also be seeing branded messaging. They should be seeing thought leadership. They should be seeing social content. They should be seeing ads from your organization on that same platform, because familiarity breeds trust.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple final ones, because we pretty much already touched on this. Don't be a pest. Do get your targeting right. Do have a point of view around servant leadership and human-to-human connection. So just reiterating the conversation that we've been having. And the final one that I have, and it really touches on the heart of what you mentioned about do what you can in order to create real social engagements. Start getting good at what triggers people's interest and their attention. So whether it's a hook or something fun about you, or a personality and personal brand play, but sometimes it's simply around knowing what content works the best. Questions, surveys. Your audience might love to give their opinion. Crowdsource things. Say, hey guys, would you have picked A or B? Or if you were in my shoes, what would you do? Or what's your opinion? But paying attention to what people want to engage with. Do be good at engaging attention and triggering interest in the way that your audience and your social peers want to engage on social media. Any final thoughts in addition to the ones I just listed?
I would say the final do is be consistent and know what it is that you're tracking. Remember, with social selling, there's going to be a lot of activity that takes some time to build, and you might see the payoff from an initial connection 6 months later, a year later. You might see it coming in as referrals from somebody who's never even done business with you, but they like you and trust you so much just from the social engagement that they're willing to send customers to you just based on how you've showed up as a human being.
Amen, sister. I love it. Drop the mic. You guys, thank you so much. We would love to hear your questions. And shockingly, we want to hear them on social media, even if it's in DM. So feel free to connect with us, follow, post your questions. And as always, be social and hit that subscribe button if you liked this content. And we will see you next week. Onward and upward.